Welcome. This is Kat's Home Chat, and we are so excited that you've stopped by. We have an amazing guest, and I have my sidekick assistant here, Elizabeth.
Hello.
She's how old?
Almost 9.5.
Oh, almost 9.5. We got to get that right. And I'm going to introduce my guest in a minute. Kerry is from Vibrantly Organized, and she has kindly agreed to be my host today to share with us some really, really amazing tips on staying organized. You know, it's spring, and all this month we're going to have things to do with getting organized, renewal, all things about spring and renewal and the weather change and all of that. And what better way this week than to talk about if you've already started your organizing efforts, decluttering, which many and most of us do. But I think many and most of us have a challenge with how to keep it organized without having to repeat what we're doing like a week or 2 weeks later. And that's what Kerry's going to share with us today. And my assistant here is going to share with us, with the help of Kerry, some things that your little ones, your rugrats and or teenagers, etc., can do to help you with that mission of staying organized. So welcome, Kerry Spencer. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And why don't you, if you could, just start out and share with our audience, how did you get into, as you call it, the world of organization, which on the pre-show you said was, I love it, a verb. How did you get in the business?
So I am originally a very creative person, so I was not always organized. And when I'm, single, living life, it's not that big of a deal, right? Get married, have kids, a job, include all the things with life, and then you start to realize that it is a problem. And then you see, maybe I need to do something about this. And so I did a lot of research. I found out professional organizing was like a thing, which was cool.
Yep.
And I did a lot of research and figured out that there were ways to be organized that didn't necessarily fit in the traditional sense. So I didn't have to be type A personality. I didn't have to be linear. I didn't have to, have things just a certain way for it to make sense for me. And then I decided, you know what, this would be pretty cool if I could help other people who were like me, just trying to figure it out. And so that's when I decided to go into business and help others.
That's awesome. I love how you talk about, some people think, you have to fit into a certain type of personality type. And, some people just default it to, well, that's just me. I'm just not organized. Well, I'm like you. I'm not by nature organized because, the very nature of my business, staging and design, is on the creative side. So, doing the books and doing quotes and staying organized and not having a pile of papers is not my first nature. But like you, and this really falls into our feng shui ability, et cetera, is we just as humans feel unsettled and less creative when things are disorganized. Would you agree with that?
I would. Especially as a creative, having that clear space around you helps you have that clear mental space to where you can be your most creative.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. So let's talk about how we can elicit, and I know you've got quite a few tips to share with our audiences today on how to stay organized and make it a habit, and the things that you need to do to make it a habit so you're not repeating, wash, rinse, repeat, organize, declutter, repeat. Who wants to do that? So share with us, and maybe you can ask Elizabeth a couple questions, whatever you want, on how can we get our kids, grandkids, or what have you, on board with helping us keep our spaces organized, whether it's workspace, school stuff, their bedroom, whatever. What are some things you found that have worked?
Right. So with two little people myself, it is an everyday thing. So,
And Kerry
like
has a 6 and 8 year old. Yeah. So not far from here.
So, every day is a challenge, but there are certain things that we do to help with the challenge. So if they come into school, like if they come home from school,
Mm-hmm.
we go through the backpack. Every day we see if there's papers in the backpack. Whatever papers are there, we check if it's a thing that needs to be kept, if it's something that we'll need to reference for the rest of the month, maybe it's an announcement or that sort of thing. We have a place where that goes. Any schoolwork that needs to be kept, we have a place where that goes. If it's like a random piece of paper, like their friend gave them a drawing and, they want to keep it. Okay, well, we'll evaluate that and make a decision. We'll kind of put it away and we'll see if it's something that really should be kept. I put a timeline on it.
I like that. Put a timeline on it.
Yes, timelines are very important.
Because if
So
not,
to myself, not them.
Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, because if not, with 2 or 3 kids, even with one, but 2 or 3 kids, that keep pile could end up, being overwhelming unless you did have a time limit on it. So I like that. You have a time limit on it. Yeah. Now, do you do that? Do you do that with toys too? I know you and I talked before the show about, you having little kids as well. Even with Elizabeth, they're given so many things from grandma, from aunts, from uncles, and they get too much stuff. So how do you manage that with your 2 girls on getting them to eliminate some stuff?
So if it depends on the type of toy. So if it's like a trinket that comes from school, a birthday party, let's just say it's even like, a fast food toy that you got in a Happy Meal or whatever the case may be. I give it about 24 hours. I'm pretty strict on that. Enjoy it for 24 hours. Get the most out of it because it's going away. Because
I like that.
Sure enough, they get another one.
Yes, but you know what that does too, Kerry, is that I think that promotes them kind of being, in the moment going, okay, I got this little trinket. I only have it for 24 hours. So that's going to prevent them from like putting it in the pile with the rest of the stuff. And it's just a big menagerie of stuff that doesn't get any kind of honor. This way you're promoting them to honor that trinket or that, whatever that was given to them for that amount of time. I really think that's great. And the kids resonate with that. Okay. Have they ever gone, well, Mom, 24 hours isn't enough. I need it longer.
I think maybe at the beginning, because when they're younger, they don't have a true concept of 24 hours
of time. Right.
And what that means.
Right.
But now they get a McDonald's toy and they're like, okay, I have 24 hours. And she's like, my youngest will be like, okay, I'm going to play with it for a little while and then it'll go in the trash. And I don't even have to say anything anymore because it's just become part of our routine, putting it in place and keeping up with it.
Awesome. So routine. I like that. So you instill a routine. Elizabeth, do you have a question for Miss Kerry or anything you want to share about how you help mommy stay organized when you, with your things from school, not to make it messy?
I try to help
talk this way.
I try to help my teacher to clean the classroom, and I help my mommy to like organize my toys and my stuff. And
that's awesome. So you're a really good helper.
Do you have a cleanup song?
Kinda.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Can you sing it?
Let's see. Um,
That's okay. Do you have one, Kerry?
Usually we'll just put on like Kids Bop in the background. I think
Okay.
make it fun.
Everything is better with music, right? Yeah, she loves Kids Bop. I guess what kid doesn't, right? Do you like, I know she gets ready in the morning to Kids Bop. So do you clean up to Kids Bop too?
yeah, I kind of do.
You kind of do?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I think adults could learn from that, right? Like I put on, Prince or some kind of rock and roll when I have to clean.
Right. I mean, why not make fun? Why not make it fun? Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, it is the kind of task where, like, a lot of times you're sitting there just going, "Oh my gosh, it's one more thing I have to do today." So why not make it fun?
Why
You're
not make
already
it
at
fun?
home. Blast the music, just let it go
and get it done. But I love that you instill and sharing with our audience that get a routine. You and I talked before the show. Studies tell us it takes 21 days to create a habit. Sometimes we fall short of that 21 days and it doesn't become a habit. As you mentioned to me earlier, Kerry, it's just not top of mind for us to sometimes stay organized. We're in those habits of, we're exhausted. We come in, we throw stuff down, we put the keys, we throw the mail, the backpack, whatever. And it's not too long, with a family of 2 or 5, that we are back to a cluttered mess. Yeah. So you and I chatted about, and I know you use this in your business, is to have them start off with like a checklist. So, I need to put things in front of me. I mean, I have stuff in my phone. I need a paper binder for my stuff, and I also have a big grease board. I need to be reminded in multiple places on things that I need to do or I don't want to forget about. So I think that's a great idea, is to just create a list, grease board or whatever, on those checklists. Put your keys here, take your mail, I know is one of them, and throw away the trash and sort it, whether it's like you said with the schoolwork or your mail, in its appropriate place right then.
Right. So after you've gone through the whole process, I mean, and we all know that it can be a long process to declutter, or to organize, put it all together, make it look great, make it function.
Right.
And then, so whenever you're thinking about, okay, now what do I do? So there are certain areas that will be kind of a constant maintenance. So like your pantry, your refrigerator, your bathroom, those kinds of, like, the places that you spend your most time are the places where you're going to want to maintain most often. Because those are the ones that will quickly get back out of control.
Yes.
So whenever
on that note, Kerry, I'm gonna let little one go, because I want to dive deep into those 3 areas that you mentioned: the pantry, the kitchen, and the bathroom. I want to dive deep into that. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for being my little munchkin guest here, and visiting with Miss Kerry. And you'll be able to watch this later. She's so excited. She's like, I've never been on Facebook. I go, well, you're going to be on YouTube too. So say bye to everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, sweetheart. So yeah, let's talk about, let's take each one of them, and maybe you can just share with our audience a couple of things that may be obvious but may not be obvious on how to stay organized. Let's start with the pantry, because some of us, have, we could have a bigger pantry, but no matter what size pantry we have, we need to keep it organized. What's some things you can share with our audience about the pantry challenge?
Yeah. So the great thing about pantries is they can be the most awesome part of your house. I mean, you could walk into your pantry and know where everything is, and you just feel zen, right? You're like, oh, I can reach that. I know exactly what that is. the downside of the pantry is that it can get overwhelming really fast
Real fast.
if we don't maintain it. So what I do, I mean, every time I need to go to the grocery store, that's when I overlook my pantry, because I make sure I have everything that I can see. Okay, I need this, I need this, I need this. And when I come home, I make sure everything goes in its place. If there's anything that needs to be kind of rearranged a little bit, I make sure that it works with the space. I don't just throw stuff into the pantry.
So that's probably a key one right there. And I know I'm guilty, and I'm sure many of you are out there, they're guilty, is, we just want to get the stuff away and we, shove it in there, not really, thinking about. You mentioned something about before you go to the store, and I know I'm guilty. I know my husband's guilty. He just does the majority of the cooking for our family, of not checking the pantry and buying more stuff, duplicating stuff.
Yeah.
So I love that. Check your pantry first to make sure you're not buying another, whatever it is, coconut water or black beans that you don't need or whatever. Yeah, I'm really guilty of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, they they plan out their meals, and that sort of stuff. I don't. I kind of have an idea based on how I cook. Okay, I know I'm going to have a meat and vegetables, and I look and I make sure that, if I need something, I make sure that I get it. And if I don't need anything, I make sure that it's not on the list. And of course, that'll be different for people who, if you're close to a grocery store or if you're quite a ways, in terms of,
right.
But for the most part, it's, just, okay, do I need it? And as soon as I get it home, okay, nothing sits on the counter. It goes where it's supposed to go. And then I, make sure that whatever my process is, that I don't, I mean, I make it a point. Nothing stays on the cabinet. Everything gets put away. All the cartons, all the bags, it all gets put away. So there's nothing left after I've gone to the grocery store and put it in the pantry. So I think that's a big part of it. Just making sure you finish the process and not just kind of stopping. Because even when little people are like, mommy, what's this? Honey, I really need to do this right now.
Yeah.
Once I've put it away, then you can come and ask me,
right.
Whatever the question is.
Right. But now yours is still little. When they get a little older, then it goes over there on the bean shelf. So for me, we did a whole remodel and, did a lot of purging. I think we donating, purging, a lot, but, you accumulate too. And then of course, with different weather things, you kind of stock up. So we've kind of gotten in the habit of, especially if we buy in bulk, it goes on the shelves out in the garage, as opposed to my small pantry anyway, wouldn't hold it. But for my husband needs to buy paper goods in bulk. So we have a whole, 4-shelf thing in the garage just of paper goods. That certainly wouldn't work in my small pantry. But I think, for me, like I'm ready to redo my pantry again, because you run out of space and then you just kind of put it in there, but I think, as you mentioned, if you rather than it being a big daunting thing where you have to start all over, gut it, is to go, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. This section here is a little discombobulated, and I'm going to reorganize, make sure the flours and baking things are all together, not spilling over. You can take smaller bites, I guess is what I'm saying, right?
You can. And so, I mean, going back to what you were saying about, feeling like, okay, my pantry isn't big enough. I need to go back and, rethink things. So a lot of times what I try to do when I'm working with clients is really give them the questions that they need to ask themselves. So in real estate, right? If you're selling, buying, whatever, you're thinking, oh, it's just the house and the land that it's on. Okay. When you purchase your house, think about the real estate, all of that inside. Okay. Your counters, your shelves, your cabinets, everything that can hold something,
Yep.
but then also the stuff that doesn't hold anything. So all that empty space as well. So your shelf space, that holds a value, but the empty space holds a value as well. And as a stager, you know. So when you're living in the space, you want to ask yourself, okay, is this something I want or something I need? If it's something I need, then there should be a spot for it. I shouldn't have to think about where it would go. If it's something I want, I have to ask myself, what is its purpose? Is it going to add value or is it going to take away? And then when I bring it into my house, am I going to be willing to spend the time and effort to maintain that item? So there are certain questions that you kind of ask yourself to kind of help that maintenance part a little bit easier. So it's not as such an overwhelming thing. So you get to that point where you kind of want to protect that space. You say, you know what? I really like this space to have a little bit of emptiness. Maybe I don't.
Because homes breathe. When we have empty space, the emotions whether we're walking into the home or someone else's is that the home has breathing room. If it's crammed full of stuff, there's no room to breathe, which is why we feel unsettled. I just had this conversation with one of my assistants who just bought a new home, and we were talking about, people give you things, now, when you're right out of college or whatever, yeah, you have a lot of, hand-me-downs and so forth. But I think just, people in general, we talked about, the kids are given things. Well, so are adults, during holidays, et cetera. And, I think often, we feel guilty that we didn't display, or what we do is we try to display every tchotchke that was given in love, but maybe really doesn't represent the style and the feeling we're trying to go for in our space. And that's where a lot of clutter begins. We have a division of our company, Freedom from Stuff. And that's really how I look at it, is it's freedom. All of us need more freedom from our stuff. There's no, mystery why there are so many storage units popping up all over, at least in Texas, right, Kerry? Because we all have too much stuff. And some people are paying thousands of dollars a year to store stuff that they'll never use, so that's a whole nother episode. But, sometimes it's really difficult to get rid of some of that stuff. And there's some ways that you can honor that stuff, but let it move on and bring pleasure to someone else, whether it's taking a picture or making a collection or picking your best or whatever. But I think, we have to get over that feeling that we need to display or put out every single thing that was given to us, to honor it. You can honor it in other ways, right?
You can honor it in other ways. And, I think another part of that, because I feel that as well, because people are like, oh, well, I gave you da 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 da. I know. And I really appreciate your thoughts, your effort. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your love for giving me this gift.
Yes.
Like, I want you to know that that you love me enough to give me something.
Yes.
But at the same time, I want you to know that in order for me to have, like, I wouldn't say sanity, because most of the time I'm just like, okay, I have so much stuff here, I just need to get rid of it.
Peace of mind. I think peace of mind. Yeah, calm. Yeah.
Just, I've kept this one thing from it. It helps remind me of you, but I had to let the other stuff go.
Yeah.
And I think just having that open conversation with people, just letting them know you love them, you appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yes.
I think that goes a long way.
It
So
really does. I'm so glad that you talked about that, because I think it's a subject that people, are kind of, intimidated to think about or to even discuss. And really, it happens before we know it, you know. But like you said, I love your thing. It's like, okay, I've had these many things throughout the years or whatever, our friendship, and expressing that gratitude and that love, and then letting them know that you've selected to choose one item to honor, with placement in your real estate, that, will continually remind them of all the love and all the thought and all the time spent. And I mean, how could people not resonate and really feel good about that, right?
Yeah. We're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the most special thing that I've given you, and you're going to display it. And that's
Yes. And, I think in doing that, Kerry, and having that conversation and taking that action, we are giving permission. You're giving permission to your friend who probably never thought about that, because she or he is, victim of the same thing, because of the way our society is, and events and holidays and gift giving and all that kind of stuff. I think it's a great subliminal, if not overt way of giving them permission to do the same thing.
Yeah. I think just, people want to feel like their love is being received.
Yes.
So I think validating that, that just goes a long way.
Absolutely. I just love that. Okay, so a little bit on the pantry. I don't know if you have anything different to share with for the kitchen, and then we'll move on to the bathroom. Okay. Oh gosh, we've been talking for 27 minutes already. So I don't know. Is we try to keep it at about 30. I'm not super strict on that, because a lot of great information. I think really important, especially this time of year where people are thinking about, thawing things out. Literally here in Houston, we've been under snow, and now it's 80 degrees. But, renewal, planting flowers, things coming back. And we just, we want to freshen up and declutter our spaces. So is there anything different in keeping the kitchen? We talked about the three kind of main things.
So for the kitchen, I love organizing kitchens. I love it. So make sure that when you are trying to maintain your kitchen, so like we were talking about gifts, appliances. Oh my gosh, Christmas, people give you things, right? You get all these gadgets and you're like, oh, okay, what am I going to do with this? So it's kind of, along the same lines, but, make sure that, if there are things that you haven't used within the year, I think that's a pretty clear indicator that you can take that out, make the space for whatever the new gadget is. So it's not exactly brand new information. And it is along the same lines of what we were talking about before.
Yes, but it is raising the level of consciousness. And I love that, because sometimes we just don't think about it. Like I bought a little mini, I guess it's like a mini waffle maker, but it's, kind of follow keto. So it's making the almond bread, thingy, so you can make a sandwich. And it's like, I used it once, and I look at it every time I open up and pull the toaster out, I see it, and I'm like, I need to use that. It reminds me, I really want to use it. It doesn't take that long to do it. It doesn't take up much space either, but I do want to use it. Regular waffle iron, that's out in the garage, because you never know when you might use it. So I love that. Give it a time frame. They try to say that with for clothes too, and we can do a whole show on closet. You're not going to get me to get rid of anything if I haven't worn it in a year, because I'm kind of a clothes horse. But I do try to keep it top of mind and try to rotate
and I think
things. You kind of froze, at least on my end here.
Yeah. Well, and I think what makes, hopefully I'm not cutting out. I think the thing that makes stuff in the kitchen, did I freeze? Sorry.
No, you're okay.
In closet, am I still frozen? Oh. Okay. The most difficult is because we spend a lot of time there, right? And it can become emotional. Like, oh my gosh, I have this mini waffle iron and maybe I used it once, but maybe it has a special memory.
Yeah.
And that's what's keeping it there. And so sometimes it's great to share the memory so that the memory is out there and the memory doesn't get lost, but maybe the item can then go somewhere, like to a donation or that sort of, so somebody else can have a memory with it.
Yes.
That sort of thing.
Yes.
So I think that's clothes and the kitchen. That's where it gets a little bit more emotional for items.
Clothes for me, it's just, I never know when I'm, I mean, I have a jacket I bought at a thrift store. I'm going to date myself here, but it's about 51 years ago.
Okay.
I still have it. It's a velour. It has jewels on it. The lining's all trashed, and one day I'm going to take it to a tailor and have a lining put in it. But I just can't bear to give it up. Now there's a whole lot more.
I mean, if you love it, there is nothing wrong with keeping it. I mean, I
may not wear it.
I mean, all I say is if you don't love it and every time you look at it, you're dreading looking at it, then that's when you say, okay.
Exactly. How does it make you feel? So let's wrap up with, I know we were going to do bathroom, but because so many people are now working from home, furloughed, and just, entrepreneurs like myself are working from home, and some of which who have never worked from home. And so they're doing shared spaces. We're getting a lot of calls now to help them create a separate space because they do have to cohabitate, in let's say a dual room or whatever. And so we're helping folks navigate through that. But what are some things from an organizational standpoint, Kerry, that folks who maybe are finding themselves working from home and never had before, that they might implement to make it more calming, more workable, and more, cohesive in their living space?
Yeah. So first, what I usually start off with is what worked in your former workspace. How was it set up and what worked for you there? And if it worked really well for you, do whatever you possibly can to try to mimic that at home. I mean, obviously there's just limitations to that, but if you have your work pile in one spot and you have like a flow on your desk of how you were able to maintain your space at work, try to copy that at home. Forget about, people are going to come in, What worked for you there? Because that's going to help you transition to being at home. And
I like that.
That works.
So some people might have to get like a water cooler and set it. Just kidding.
Yeah. Some people might. Yeah.
Some people might, but like some spaces I just actually saw yesterday, have an open and they have to use that as a study. So, sometimes like a portable Soji screen or something can help to just kind of divide that space, but give some privacy, if you can't actually close it off at that time or whatever, something like that. But I like that, I think that will help folks transition from a work environment to home, like you said, is to really think about what is it that vibrates with you on a positive level at work that you'd like to duplicate at home, and start with that. That's a real good starting point.
Yeah, I always like to start with what works first. We don't want to change what works.
Don't want to recreate the wheel, right? Yeah, that's a lot of wasted effort. I really like that. Kerry, thank you so much. We're at about 34, 35 minutes. So we like to keep them at this. You've got tons of information, and you can watch this in about 48 hours. It'll be posted on YouTube. Ta-da, Staging by Kat. And it will have Kerry's information. Until then, if someone wants to reach out to you, they can find you on Facebook under Vibrantly Organized, correct?
Yes.
And what's a good phone number if someone wants to give you a buzz before this comes out?
Yeah. 218-5309.
Perfect. So Kerry is an organizing specialist. I know her and I have been trying to get together for a couple of weeks. She's, with this time of year, it gets pretty heavily booked. So book her early. You're in the Houston area, correct, Kerry?
Yes. I am in
Okay.
the Houston area.
What's that?
Yes, Houston area. Yes.
Houston area. And so do you work northern, southern, just greater Houston?
Mostly northern.
Oh, okay.
I'll go anywhere. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, you gotta go where they need you, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you everybody for watching. Go out and make it a great weekend. Many kiddos are home today, as you saw with Elizabeth. So get them started on a new habit forming to help you stay organized, or get them involved in the organizing process so they can see what you're going through to make a cleaner, more peaceful, more organized space for them. And as always, stay positive, stay hopeful, and stay connected. And thank you so much for connecting with us today. If you haven't met me before, I'm Kat Trelinos with Ta-Da by Kat, Next Level Staging and Design. And we hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again, Kerry. And I'll talk to you soon.